Shalom and welcome to Looking Up. In this week's portion of Vayakhel, the Torah introduces the description of the Mishkan's construction. Mishkan is a portable temple, and the Torah begins this description with the commandment to keep Shabbat. What is the reason for this introduction? Of course, there is a technical reason that the Torah is warning us that as important as it is to build the Mishkan, we are not permitted to violate Shabbat to build it. We must stop for Shabbat and continue afterward. But is there perhaps a non-technical reason as well that explains the need for Shabbat to introduce the construction of the Mishkan? The Torah tells us that the chief architect of the Mishkan was a very young lad by the name of Bezalel. He was barely a teenager, and yet God had implanted within him all the knowledge he would need to direct the construction of the Holy Mishkan and all its component parts. Why was Bezalel chosen? The Talmud says it was God's reward to Bezalel's grandfather, Hur. Together with Aaron, Hur was left in charge of the Jewish people when Moshe left to climb Mount Sinai to stay there for 40 days. Then the people rebelled and built a golden calf. Hur stood up to the mob trying to stop them, and they killed him. In recognition of Hur's self-sacrifice, God made his grandson Bezalel be the one person granted all the wisdom for the building of the Mishkan. The great sage of Dvinsk, Rabbi Meir Simcha, explains what was fitting about this reward. Many times people have great abilities and they use their abilities to do great things. But they also find it very hard if they ever need to stop and not use their abilities. For example, someone might be very good at talking, but they may not be very good at being silent when silence is needed. Someone else can be good at helping others, but they cannot keep themselves from trying to help when the person they're trying to help needs to learn to do it for him or herself. Hur was a very sophisticated thinker. And perhaps if he would have given his situation more thought, he might have found a way to slow down the mob without losing his life. But Hur knew that if he would use his wisdom, he might end up using it just to save his own life, not to figure out what God's true will was. So he stopped thinking and just acted. He bravely stood up to the mob and they killed him. Hur did have great wisdom. He just shut it off to avoid letting it corrupt him. To show that to everyone, God made his grandson Bezalel famous for his own great wisdom. Where did Hur get the ability to stop thinking about his situation when he knew it was time to act? From the mitzvah of Shabbat. Shabbat teaches us to stop, to rest, to let go. Without Shabbat, we would have had great energies and did great things. But if we do not have the ability to shut our energies down when the situation requires it, then we lose the ability to use our major talent, to be like God. Shabbat reminds us that even beyond building the Mishkan, the greatest way we can serve God is to be like Him. And just as He created the whole world but was also able to stop, we too must learn to be able to stop. Shabbat Shalom.